happy to be here. Thank you very much. I see we've cleared out a whole lot, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm good with that. So I do want to talk about retaining people, specifically really kind of upping our onboarding process. And from the get-go, is David still here? David, our first speaker? Okay. So from the very get-go, every single person that's been up here has kind of talked about something that I have here tonight, or today, not tonight. I feel like it's nighttime by now, right? We've talked about just about everything that I have up here. So I'm going to flip through the slides, still going to bring up some different points. Definitely like the interaction. I'm glad we took a break because I was going to have y'all get up and do the hokey pokey. Like I was gonna make you move. So I'm glad we took a break. But definitely interactive. I'm going to ask you guys some questions. So I always tell my people that I train at the terminal, the training day is going to be much longer if you don't interact with me. Okay, I'm here all day. All righty. So this is really from LBC perspective. I know a lot of topics that we've talked about today have been kind of general, broad scope, and it covers a lot of us. And what I'm going to talk about covers a lot of us too, but this is really from what we've experienced at LBC. So let me ask y'all, is everybody or anybody familiar with IOGP, the International Association of Gas and Oil Producers? I may have said all that out of order, but they have the 9 life-saving rules. So they also have 9 process safety fundamentals. So every year during our annual refresher HSEQ classes, we go over all 9 for each category. Same thing I do with new hires. But every month, we focus on 1 from each category. So since we're so close to February, threw those up there. So kind of the 9 life-saving rules, this organization studied fatalities over many, many years. And they kind of zeroed in on 9 leading causes for these fatalities. So work authorization, obviously having that permit to do the work, to do it safely. We're making sure we've got all the equipment that we need. The equipment is good to go. We've got all the safety that we need, all the safety supplies. So make sure we're going to do the job safely. One of the 9 life-saving rules, though, is line of fire. So someone talked about line of fire earlier today. Line of fire is the number 1 leading cause for fatalities that they studied over all the years. And then we got applied double isolation for the process safety fundamentals. So essentially, bottom line, we want to keep the product in the pipe. We want to keep the product in the tanks, in the containers. So why is operator turnover a business risk? Does anybody else in here suffer from turnovers, from attrition, from people leaving? Yeah, I think we kind of all do. We've got safety critical roles in a terminal that we need people there with experience and expertise so that we're getting these things done safely. Whenever we have a gap, we have turnover, then we still need that position filled. So then we're calling in overtime. We're calling in overtime to cover those positions while we're looking for somebody to replace that role. We get fatigue risk. If you're working more than you're seeing your family at home, than you're doing other things, then you kind of get burned out, right? We talked about being burned out earlier today too. So overtime and fatigue risk is a big issue. Knowledge loss. Having that knowledge, knowledge of the facility and talking about that valve. Like if you turn the valve a quarter turn and get things lubed up and then things start moving, like having that institutional knowledge is vital to keep our facilities going safely. And regulatory exposure. The longer you're with the facility, you understand what the environmental regulations are, what the safety regulations are, and so you're more apt to follow them, know them, follow them, than somebody who's brand new. So of course there is a monetary cost to this. Having the turnover rates, 1.5 to 2 times the salary replacement cost. It could take 6 to 12 months or longer to qualify. We already talked about higher overtime. Quite often the incidents that maybe we're having, the safety incidents that we're having, I'm going to say more often, not always, but more often involve the newer folks, just because they don't have that experience. Root causes of turnover for us in terminals. The type of work that we do, very, very manual. Y'all have already talked about generational stuff, so I don't feel funny talking about it first. But the generations my age and who came before me, very hands-on, very much working on the car with dad, with grandpa, taking things apart just to see how they work, to put them back together. The newer generation below me, coming up after me, hands-on. I didn't bring my phone up. Not hands-on, I'm sorry. They've had tablets, they've had phones, they've had the electronics their whole life. They push a button to make something change. They push a button to turn something off, to turn it on. So they're not as used to that manual work. Shift fatigue. Has anybody in here worked shift work? Is that hard on you? Is that hard on the body? Is that hard on the mind? Like some of these folks coming in, shift work, 12 hours. 12 hours in our facilities, going from days to nights, from nights to days. I'm not cut out for shift work. My dad did it. I'm not cut out for it. Inconsistent training. So prior to us setting up our onboarding process that we have now, how people were trained was different. Somebody earlier talked about putting that new operator, that new person with someone who's maybe been here 10, 15, 20 years that has the experience. That's a good idea, that's a good thought, but is that person who's been here 10, 15, 20 years, are they still doing it the right way? Or have they learned the shortcuts and that's what they're teaching? Limited career paths for operators. For sure, we can go from an entry-level operator all the way up to a senior operator. I would love it if all of our crews, all of our shifts had senior operators. We're not there yet. There's not a management position for every single operator that's out there. And I'm just talking about operators right now, not even maintenance and other personnel. So limited career paths, it's got to be something they want to do. We've got a competitive labor market. So I know we got a bunch of Lyondale folks here. LBC. We train up some operators. We maybe lose them to refineries, to other terminals. When I started here at LBC, someone told me an acronym for LBC, Lyondale Boot Camp. So very competitive labor market, very competitive. So when we get them trained, we want to keep them. All right, will someone hit a button? It was just a delay. So some workforce challenges that we have, long qualification times. I'll talk about that some more in a minute, but it could take 3-6 months just to be qualified in a couple of tasks that we do. It could take a year, multiple years to be fully qualified in our terminals. That tribal knowledge risk, again, we lose somebody with that tribal knowledge, that just kind of puts us back. All right, so retention for us really and truly starts on day one. Whenever we are going through the hiring process, we want to interview people and hire people, let them know exactly what they're going to be doing. Don't make it a secret, because in some of our facilities, it is very manual. There's not a lot of motor-operated valves. There's not a lot of, there's not a lot of push-button stuff. So we want to make sure that they have that right mindset, that they know they're not coming in to be the CEO on day one, right? They got to build up to that. We want to onboard for confidence. We want to set the bar for sure, but keep it consistent. And I'm going to talk more about that in just a second. But we want to set the bar. We want to onboard them for confidence. We do want to develop for careers. whenever you come to LBC, we want you to stay. Okay, we want you to build a career there. So we do want to help develop whatever you're interested in if we can do that. And we want to retain through engagement. One of the things that we've talked about today too, that we're always trying to update our procedures. And I think we talked about earlier that having the AI to go back and look at all of our old stuff, and let's get all the old stuff out of the way that we don't do anymore, or that's not correct. But we want to retain through engagement. We want the operators to be involved in updating the procedures, in potentially working on projects. Those folks that are doing the task, that are doing the job, they're going to be the ones that have the best ideas, how to do it more efficiently, how to do it more safe. So we want their involvement. And if they're engaged, if they feel important, they feel seen, then that's going to lead to a longer retention. So what we implemented at LBC, this is kind of our framework. You're a new operator, you come into LBC, you're going to be spending some time at the regional office. Where are my HR folks? All right. Our folks are going to be spending a day with you. Y'all got a lot of paperwork. Y'all got a lot of rules, policies, all that jazz. We want them to get paid, right? There's all kinds of information that HR needs to share with them. So after that, they're spending time with me, and but what's more important, I'm driving the week with them, but what's more important and why I want them in the regional office, that's where our regional HSEQ manager is. That's where our operational excellence manager is. That's where the head of our commercial group is. That's where our VP for this American region is. I want all of them, those people that I just mentioned, they come in and they welcome the new hires. They get that face-to-face interaction. After spending the day with HR, not everything is just official business. There's some joking around. There's some having fun too. So I want the new hires to feel comfortable. I want them to feel like they're part of the family. So if they do have an issue that they have to go talk to HR with, it's not scary. If they have an issue they want to talk with our safety manager with, okay, I've already met him before, we've already started building this relationship. So that's what's really important to me. So they spend the week there at the regional office, and then they go out to the facility. They drive around the facility, they get driven around the facility, they're checking things out, they're starting to go through the procedures. We are one of the companies in the room that have already partnered with Voovio. So our very first pilot with Voovio was geared towards our new hires. For us, we had a strong need for new hires to work rails, to work trucks. So that was our pilot project with Voovio, and the reports that I get back, they catch on. So we saw a little example of Voovio. They come out, they take pictures of your facility. They build the simulations of your facility. So these new hires, they can be doing the actions over and over and over, developing that muscle memory, developing, okay, I know this is my first step, this is what I need to do. And what they're doing on the computer is exactly what they would be doing out in the field. So it doesn't matter what the weather is. It doesn't matter if we've got trucks that day. It doesn't matter if we've got rail cars that day. New hires especially can be doing the steps. They can be doing the job task. They can be getting all those repetitions in. And so what I'm told is by my trainers out there is that they see the new hire, it's clicking. It's clicking what they need to be doing in the field. So that when they do get in the field and they're doing it, it's more natural. It's like, well, I've been doing this for a while, because they have been on the computer. So about 6 months, anywhere from 3 to 6 months, we're going to have them on straight days. They're doing trucks, they're doing rail cars. If they're not doing those at the time, then maybe they're checking out and seeing what else goes on at the terminal. But their main focus for that first 3 months for sure, up to 6 months, is working days, working rail cars, working trucks. Then we put them on a shift. They are not qualified to do the majority of the stuff on the shift. They're still learning. They're still training. So maybe we do have that senior operator. Maybe we do have that person on the shift that's been identified. Hey, this person does a good job. Let's pair them up and let them start training him. That's going to be for 6 months to about a year. So we're spending a lot of time with that. After the 1 year, they are not qualified for everything in our facility. That takes multiple years. So since that process is so long, when we have the people in the door, we want to keep them. Unless they're flagrantly doing unsafe things. Then I'm okay with them being made available to industry. Yeah. All right. To what? You too. So these are some things that we have in place to kind of track our training. JPM for us is job performance measurement. That's essentially just that paperwork, that documentation that shows operator A knows how to do the task. During that initial competency certification, it's very much a more detailed, long process because they are new. We are implementing a competency recertification. So imagine I am a spreadsheet. Across the top of my spreadsheet, we got all of our procedures that the operator needs to learn, needs to know. So if I take kind of the first third of those procedures, for 2026, every single operator, as long as they do these tasks at the top of my spreadsheet, they are recertifying on it in 2026. If they don't do the task because it's way past what they're qualified to do at this point, okay, that's fine. It's not going to count. But everybody's going to do these tasks for 2026. The next third of my spreadsheet, 2027. Everyone's going to do these tasks in 2027, recertification. 2028, we're going to do this last section. So 2029, we start back over with that first third. So now we're on a 3-year rotation, getting all of our operators, making sure they're recertified. We got the documentation. Because how many of us, even if we do a task every single day, work-related, not work-related, every single day, we find those shortcuts. It's human nature. We find those shortcuts. We forget to do a step. We forget to do something until we go back and kind of look at the manual and be like, oh yeah, we got to do that too. So we got a clear progression path from day one to you're a senior operator. Technology is definitely our friend. What I'm really excited about is I told y'all the truck and rail we've been doing with new hires for this last year. This year, all of our current operators are going to be doing the truck and the rail Voovios that we have set up. So I'm mentally trying to think back. For 2025, the majority of our new hires, younger than me generation. So they're like, oh, video games. This is cool. I'm excited to hear what my generation and the generation before me, what they have to say about Voovio. See how well they interact with it. So we have our learning management system. We have the Voovio. We can digitize our JPMs, those job performance measurements. We can make our SOPs accessible. And we've got training dashboards both in LMS and in Voovio. Our operators just got the tablets too. So as long as we can keep them in one piece, we're going to see how well they do with them out in the field. But all of that information can be on the tablet. So they can have Voovio on their tablet, be walking out the procedure, seeing exactly what it looks like on Voovio to exactly what they're seeing in real life. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to work. All right, that tribal knowledge. Voovio has been talked about a lot today, but they do have knowledge snippets. They have places where we can put videos for that tribal knowledge. For the generation that's about to retire, we want to capture their knowledge before they go. Having the right person in as a trainer. That person who's been here necessarily 20 years, do y'all think for sure that's the person to be the trainer? Not necessarily. Yeah. So we want to make sure we have the right person in that role, the right temperament, and who wants to share the knowledge. We want them to want to share the knowledge. And then kind of coming back to the procedures, we can put the tribal knowledge in Voovio for sure. We can put them in the procedures. We can communicate them to the new hires, all the above. We want to develop our folks. There's not a whole lot of maybe different career paths, but whatever we can do to develop our folks, we want to do that. Bless you. Leadership, for sure. Those folks who show those leadership tendencies, we can definitely get them on a path to expand on those tendencies, really set them up for a leadership role. And then we recently paired up or partnered up with AwardCo. So we definitely want to reward our folks. And this was my first statement too, whoever's thinking it with me, you get a paycheck, don't you? Yes, I'm not talking about rewarding people for doing their job because they get a paycheck. But when they go above and beyond, and we can all think of people who go above and beyond, maybe they stopped something that was going on, happening, or about to happen, then they stopped it so an incident didn't occur. And there's all kinds of things that our folks can do that deserve that recognition. So we've partnered up with AwardCo, and we're allowed to give that recognition that way. So measuring KPIs, you can measure KPIs for anything and everything. Numbers tell a story. I love numbers, numbers love me. Sometimes I have to tell myself that lots and lots of times. But to be able to see the story that the numbers tell you, you gotta track it. If we're not tracking things, if we are having a high turnover rate, when we lose people because they left the company, we want to find out why. Because if we're not finding out why, we're not getting to that root cause of why people are leaving, then we stay in that vicious circle. Excessive overtime, stressed out, not wanting to go to work now because, oh my gosh, this is never going to end. I'm just going to work 4 million hours of overtime every single year because we can't keep people. At that point, we're going to start losing more people because who wants to come to work at a place like that? At some point, the stress outweighs the paycheck. So if we don't fix the issue, we're going to be in that continuous circle. And then those safety incidents are going to start climbing. So retaining our folks improves our safety record because we've got people that are there all the time. They want to be safe. They've got the tribal knowledge. They're doing a good job. Improved safety, having our people there is going to lower those excessive overtime costs because now we're not having people have to work excessive overtime to cover the gap, to cover while a new hire is being trained. If we were retaining our folks, the knowledge loss goes down. We keep our knowledge, we increase it. Our regulatory exposure goes down, our engagement goes up. If our engagement goes up, guess what? We go back to the top of that list. We've got improved safety, we've got lower costs with overtime and replacement, lower knowledge loss, lower regulatory exposure, higher engagement. That's the circle. That's the cycle I want us to be in. Turnover is an operational risk, but we can manage it. We can minimize it. We are learning that with structured onboarding and using the technology, having the structured training plans, that's what we're seeing so far is helping retain people. Other reasons, of course, too, but this is definitely helping. All right. Any questions, comments, thoughts? I know I said I was really going to ask y'all questions, and I didn't. Yes, sir.
So, one thing we've come a long way on the past couple of years. One thing that we've come a long way on in the past couple of years is developing an onboarding program. You know, we went from, like when I got hired in 10 years ago, I worked at our ethanol facility, and we were just bringing it back up, and I was like the first person there, and I didn't know where to go or who to talk to, and there wasn't much of a program. Now we do have something. It's kind of something our L&D department has put together. What resources are there out there for what good onboarding programs look like?
Does anybody have a good answer to that one? Good resources? So for me, I'm going to say I've been doing this since 2013. Do the math for me, 13 years. So my first experience with this was drop in the deep end. Good luck, go set it up. So I had experience before I came to LBC. So that just kind of rolled into it. So to be honest with you, flat out, I don't know what other resources are out there to help with that.
It kind of seems like everybody does it different. Everybody makes it up as they go along. There's not much information out there on, this is what a good onboarding program looks like for the first week, 2 weeks, 6 months. It's just kind of, I didn't know that there was a standard, a good practice out there that I wasn't aware of.
Does anybody have a good resource? Learning and development folks?
As far as doing safety training, and if you're an operator, then you're going to be with me for about 12 to 14 weeks, and then you'll go out into the field and do your unit specific training. So a good resource is Skills Gap Summit is what I'm thinking. Talk to people around here. That's the only resource I know of.
So the question is there any kind of incentive if the senior operator takes the new hire to help train them? And I'm double checking with my training folks in the back, and I'm going to say no. And if that is incorrect, I need y'all to jump up and yell that I'm incorrect.
Everybody's out there for a reason, and it's for the other person to be safe too. So everybody's a trainer at the end of the day, but there's no incentive other than that's part of our jobs.
I mean, so what we do isn't terrible. We can always get better. So, and it's kind of difficult to look at an operator you got hired in, an engineer you got coming in, a supervisor for a different, position, and cover them all with one umbrella. And that's what we kind of try to do. I usually come up with an itinerary for the new hires, and I kind of have to tailor it to each position. The bulk of our new hires is operations because they're almost half of our facility is operators. So the first day they do their HR stuff. They come in. We have them go out to eat with leadership team. Go over some site specific, how to get in and out of the building. While we do things, and then the rest of that week we have them introduced to all the different departments. So I set up meetings with every single department. They have an opportunity to meet just about everybody that's there. We don't expect them to know their names. It's more of a meet and greet, and I do this. So we usually do that through Thursday of the first week, and then the second week we'll get into site-specific training. Like I said, it's not terrible what we do, but it's it's hard to stay consistent when you have so many moving pieces. So I was just curious as to how some of the other companies did things.
And we do very similar. For a new hire, every single category, admin, supervisors, engineering, commercial, whatever it is, they cover almost every single topic. I just want them to be aware of it, except for our more safety critical topics because they're in the office. So it's typically just my operations, maintenance, and safety folks that we cover, like all the process safety fundamentals, lockout, tagout, hot work, like all those more safety critical topics. So I don't make my office folks do that, but everybody else does. So it might be the only time they ever have to do a certain topic, the office folks, but I throw them all in there.
Here we go right here.
Real quick, thanks for the presentation. One of the things I liked that you had up there was your metrics slide. I'm just curious, has your leadership embraced those metrics and understand what they actually mean to their business impact?
We're being very honest in this room. I'm going to say yes and no. They have embraced them. Do they really understand what it means to the bottom line, business impact? Probably the majority of the managers, no. No. Training is still a little bit looked at as, we got to do it, whatever. So, from some of them. Nobody had better have recorded that.
Question right here, Allison.
Yeah.
When you're looking at new operators, does it matter if they come in with a certificate or a 2-year degree, associate's degree? Is that something you're specifically looking for, or does it matter? You're on. Go ahead.
Yes. So does it ease the amount of time for the onboarding, or does it take the same amount of time? Do you notice a difference in the students that are coming to you with those degrees and their preparedness?
So if it's a degree, I do not see a difference. If somebody has prior terminaling experience, I do see a difference, but sometimes it's very much we got to correct some behaviors because that's not how we do it here. So even though we do hire some folks who've never done anything in a terminal type setting, mm-hmm. Sometimes those are the easier ones to train because they don't have the preconceived notions of how they should do it best. Yeah, but the P-Tech degree for us, or really kind of any degree, doesn't really, I haven't seen really speed up any process.
Really? Is that the same for everyone else?
I have a prime example. We just transitioned a lab technician to the operations field. He has a master's degree, very, very smart guy. But without the P-Tech degree, he didn't have the fundamentals of the equipment. And so that took an extra probably, I think it was about a week and a half of me giving him a crash course on just equipment, understanding systems, because we are a very manual intensive facility. Requires a good understanding of equipment for troubleshooting purposes. So I think it would be different from site to site, but at least from us, we do see a difference.
So it's really their ability to be clever and absorb and apply the information. Okay. It's a lot of salute now.
Coming from a college professor here, it's not making her feel good. I'm just kidding. Thank you, ma'am.
My question was, I know you said that you have trouble with retention, of course, of operations and stuff like that, but you also said that you identify those that are possibly meant for leadership and things like that. Are you upfront with those people? Do you share that career path? Because where I initially came from before I joined with San Jack was ExxonMobil, and generally engineers and things like that, they have a career path that's set out in front of them. They say, hey, you can potentially reach this level and there's this job for you going forward. With operations, it's you're an operator. That's it. So identifying those potential next level and not getting burned out on just being an operator for the rest of your life when you potentially have those select few individuals that actually have the ability to rise up. It's not shared with them, so you get a lot of fatigue with that.
Yeah, you do. That's a good question. You get a lot of fatigue with that, and then you get a lot of people just leaving because they're like, I don't see anything different here. I would say we can do better. I would say maybe we're improving in that a little bit. But definitely if there's conversations with an operator and they express something, then if they hadn't already caught someone's attention, then now they are. Now they're catching someone's attention. And we want to find out what they want to do. Like if they want to, I can't even think of a good, funny example off the top of my head, but if it's not something that we could potentially offer them, then yeah, we need to be honest with them and let them know that. Yeah.
Oh, ready? Okay. So I wanted to go back to the resources that are available in onboarding. So I'm with San Jac College, and previously I was a training manager with OxyChem, and I've seen different models from initial onboarding being 40 hours to 120 before they go on to shift. So I don't know that I have the exact right model, but when I was with Oxy, we would use community colleges or do it in-house or a combination of both. But at San Jac, and I'm assuming this is for your local community colleges as well, we have several advisory committees, and the purpose of these is to bring industry in to tell us, what do you need from us? What kind of training? What do you need, or what do you need from our students? What are you not seeing? But a secondary benefit to that is you get to meet the other trainers, and y'all can have that conversation. So if it's not San Jac, if you're with College of the Mainland, Lee, whoever your local community college is, I would say reach out and see what kind of committees they have so y'all can share that tacit knowledge that y'all have amongst yourselves, in addition to probably supporting the colleges.
That's a great idea. I know San Jac has a great program. I've talked with, I don't remember who it was because it was a really long time ago, but looking to partner up with San Jac, and it didn't go anywhere. But it happens.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back to the question about the PTech degrees. So I guess I don't know how much difference there is because I would never see somebody come for an interview that didn't have that for our operators. When I post, I'm in Louisiana at Shell, and when we post a position, we probably get 500 applicants per position. So the screening process for the PTech position, they would never get to us if they didn't have, that's a minimum requirement. So.
You're a processing facility?
Yes.
Okay.
Catalyst plant.
Okay, so we are not. We're a storage tank facility. We store product, move product. So yeah, that's why it's not a requirement for us. And trying to think off the top of my head, I don't know how many we get that have PTech degrees, but I wouldn't say it's many.
So we need to wrap up, but I will comment on something that Alison said in a question. She was asked, does leadership understand those KPIs? And the fact that they don't necessarily understand the KPIs really speaks to the culture at LBC. There's a level of trust within the organization that she can drive initiatives, and leadership may not always understand those KPIs. So we talked a lot about culture today. Maybe it's something you speak to Alison later about what kind of culture exists in LBC. So we need to move on. We could be here all evening, so thank you, Alison.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you very much.